Zara Thompson stared at her phone screen, reading the same text message for the 5th time. Her hands trembled slightly as the words burned into her mind. Hey. Change of plans for Sophie's wedding. Family only. Don't come. We'll explain later. Nathan. She was sitting in her corner office on the 42nd floor of the Grand Meridian Hotel in downtown Chicago. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see the magnificent ballroom where her sister-in-law's wedding would take place in 3 days. The same ballroom she had personally designed when she purchased this hotel 5 years ago. The same hotel that Nathan had raved about when he first saw the wedding venue, never knowing his wife owned the entire building. Family only, she whispered to herself, the irony cutting deep. After 8 years of marriage, she was no longer considered family. Zara set down her phone and walked to the window. At 34, she was a striking woman with smooth dark skin, intelligent brown eyes, and natural hair styled in an elegant updo. She wore a tailored navy suit that cost more than most people's monthly salary, though Nathan had no idea where her money came from. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Sophie, Nathan's younger sister. Sorry, Zara. Nathan said you're sick and can't make it. Hope you feel better soon. Face blowing a kiss. Sick. That's what he told them. Zara laughed bitterly, but there was no humor in it. The only thing making her sick was the sight of her husband's lies piling up like debris after a storm. She thought back to last month when Nathan had come home excited about the wedding venue. You won't believe this place, babe, he had said, showing her pictures on his phone. Sophie booked the Grand Meridian. It's supposed to be impossible to get into. The owner is super exclusive about events. Zara had smiled and nodded, listening to him describe her own property back to her. She had learned years ago not to correct Nathan when he explained things to her that she already knew. It hurt less that way. The marriage hadn't always been like this. In the beginning, Nathan had been charming and attentive. He was a handsome man with light brown skin, green eyes, and a smile that could light up a room. They had met in college and she had fallen hard for his confidence and ambition. But somewhere along the way, Nathan had started treating her like she was invisible. He would talk over her at dinner parties, dismiss her opinions in front of his friends, and act like her thoughts didn't matter. When she tried to tell him about her business successes, his eyes would glaze over, and he would change the subject to something about himself. Zara had stopped trying to share her world with him 3 years ago. That's when she started keeping her business empire completely separate from their marriage. Nathan knew she worked in hospitality management, but he had no idea she owned a chain of luxury hotels across 5 states. Her assistant, Monica, knocked and entered. Mrs. Thompson, the caterers are here for the final walkthrough for the Harrison James wedding. Thank you, Monica. Please handle it. I'll be working from home for the rest of the week. Monica nodded but paused at the door. Ma'am, is everything all right? You seem upset. Zara appreciated Monica's concern. Her staff was more like family to her than her actual family these days. I'm fine. Just dealing with some personal matters. After Monica left, Zara called her business partner and lawyer, Andre Williams. Andre had been her friend since business school, and he was one of the few people who knew the full extent of her wealth. Andre, it's Zara. I need to see you tonight. Something's happened. Of course. Everything okay with the business? The business is fine. It's Nathan. He's uninvited me from his sister's wedding. There was a pause. The wedding that's happening at your hotel? The very same. Zara, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do? She looked out at the city below, watching the tiny people hurrying along the sidewalks, all of them dealing with their own problems. I don't know yet. But I'm not going to let him make me disappear. That evening, Zara sat in her home office in their Lincoln Park townhouse. It was a beautiful home, but she had paid for it entirely with her own money, though Nathan believed they had split the cost. She had been generous with him throughout their marriage, but she had also been careful to protect herself. Nathan came home around 9 o'clock, later than usual. He barely looked at her as he grabbed a beer from the refrigerator. Hey, he said casually, as if he hadn't just destroyed her day. Did you get my text? About the wedding? Yes, I got it. Zara kept her voice steady. Family only, you said. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. Yeah, well, Sophie wants to keep it small. You understand. I understand that I've been uninvited to a family event after being part of this family for 8 years. It's not like that, Zara. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic. Another one of his favorite words to use when she expressed any emotion he didn't want to deal with. What should I tell people when they ask where I was? Nathan shrugged. Tell them you were sick or something. Does it really matter? Zara stared at her husband, this man she had loved and supported and built a life with. The man who now treated her like an inconvenience in his own story. "No," she said quietly. "I guess it doesn't matter." But as Nathan walked away, already checking his phone for what she was sure were messages from whoever was really important to him these days, Zara made a decision. It was time for Nathan to learn exactly who he had married. And it was time for him to find out what happened when you betrayed someone who owned the very ground you stood on. The next morning, Zara arrived at her office before sunrise. She had barely slept, her mind racing with questions that demanded answers. If Nathan was keeping secrets from her, she needed to know what they were before she decided how to respond. She pulled up the security system for her hotel chain. One of the advantages of owning multiple properties was having access to security footage across all locations. She had never used this access to spy on her personal life before, but desperate times called for desperate measures. Zara started with the Grand Meridian going back 3 months. She searched for any footage of Nathan in the building. Her heart sank as she found multiple visits she didn't know about. In the recordings, she watched her husband walk through her hotel lobbies with a confidence that suggested he felt he belonged there. But he wasn't alone. In the first video, dated 6 weeks ago, Nathan was with a woman Zara didn't recognize. She was white, with long blonde hair and an expensive handbag. They were laughing together as they headed toward the elevator bank that led to the guest rooms. Zara's stomach clenched, but she forced herself to keep watching. The next video was from 4 weeks ago. Same woman, same intimate body language. This time they were leaving the hotel restaurant, Nathan's hand on the small of her back in a gesture that was unmistakably romantic. She switched to footage from her other properties. The woman appeared at the Meridian Plaza in Milwaukee, the Meridian Towers in Indianapolis, and the Meridian Resort in Lake Geneva. At each location, Nathan and this woman behaved like a couple on vacation. Her husband was having an affair and he was doing it at her hotels. Zara called Andre, her hands shaking as she dialed. "I need you to come to my office immediately," she said when he answered. Andre arrived within an hour, finding Zara staring at her computer screen with tears streaming down her face. "Zara, what's wrong?" She turned the monitor toward him. "Watch this." Andre watched the footage in silence, his expression growing darker with each video. When she was finished showing him the evidence, he sat back in his chair. "How long has this been going on?" "At least 6 weeks that I can prove. Maybe longer." Zara wiped her eyes with a tissue. "Andre, he's been using my own hotels to cheat on me." "Who is she?" "I don't know. I've never seen her before." Zara pulled up a clear image of the woman from the security footage. "But I'm going to find out." Andre leaned forward, studying the image. "She looks familiar, but I can't place her. Do you want me to hire a private investigator?" "No. I can get all the information I need from the hotel records." Zara was already pulling up the guest registration system. "If she's staying at my properties, I'll have her credit card information, her address, everything." It took less than an hour to identify the woman. Rebecca Cole, age 29, marketing director at a consulting firm downtown. She had been a guest at 4 different Meridian properties over the past 2 months, always booking rooms for 2 people. Zara stared at Rebecca's information on her screen. The woman was younger than her, conventionally pretty, and apparently had no problem sleeping with married men. "What are you going to do?" Andre asked gently. "I don't know yet. But I'm not going to pretend this isn't happening." "You could confront Nathan directly." Zara shook her head. "He'll just lie and make me feel crazy for suspecting him. He's already good at making me feel like I'm overreacting to everything." "Then what?" Zara thought about the text message that had started this nightmare. "Family only. Don't come." After everything she had given Nathan, everything she had supported him through, he had tossed her aside like she meant nothing. "He uninvited me from his sister's wedding because he wants to bring her instead," she said suddenly. "That's what this is about. He doesn't want his family to see us together because he's planning to introduce her to everyone." Andre's eyes widened. "At your hotel?" "At my hotel," Zara confirmed. "He's going to parade his mistress around my property in front of my staff, while telling everyone I'm too sick to attend." "Zara, you can't let him do that." She looked at Andre, feeling something cold and determined settling in her chest. "You're right. I can't." That afternoon, Zara drove to Nathan's office downtown. She parked across the street and waited. At 5:30, Nathan emerged from the building with Rebecca Cole beside him. They walked to his car together and Rebecca kissed him on the cheek before getting into her own vehicle. Zara followed Rebecca's car at a distance, her heart pounding. Rebecca drove to an upscale apartment building in River North. Zara watched her use a key card to enter the building's parking garage. She lived alone apparently. Or at least, she had her own place where she could carry on an affair with a married man. Zara sat in her car for a long time, watching the building where her husband's mistress lived. She thought about all the times Nathan had come home late, all the business trips that seemed to pop up suddenly, all the times he had been distant and distracted. How long had this been going on? How many lies had he told her? How many times had he looked her in the eye and pretended to love her while he was falling for someone else? Her phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Zara stared at the message, then looked up at Rebecca's building. She was willing to bet Nathan wasn't working late at all. She drove home in a daze, her mind struggling to process the reality of her situation. 8 years of marriage, and Nathan had thrown it away for a younger woman who didn't even know he was living a lie. But as she pulled into her driveway, Zara realized something that Nathan had forgotten in his rush to start a new life. She wasn't the same naive girl he had married. She was a successful businesswoman who owned a multi-million-dollar empire. And she was about to remind him exactly who he was messing with. Zara had built her first hotel at 26, using a combination of her inheritance from her grandmother, business loans, and pure determination. Her grandmother, Ruth Thompson, had been a domestic worker who cleaned houses for wealthy families in Chicago's North Shore. But Ruth had been smart with money, investing every spare dollar in real estate and stocks. When Ruth passed away, she left Zara a portfolio worth $2 million and a handwritten note. Baby girl, don't let anybody make you small. Build something they can't take away from you. Zara had taken that advice seriously. She sat in Andre's law office the morning after discovering Nathan's affair, surrounded by files that documented her business empire. The Meridian Hotel Group owned 12 luxury properties across the Midwest, with a 13th under construction in Nashville. The company was worth $47 million, and Zara owned 80% of it. Remind me why we kept this separate from Nathan, Andre said, reviewing the corporate structure. Because I learned early in our marriage that Nathan doesn't respect things he doesn't understand or control. Zara sipped her coffee, grateful for Andre's calm presence. When I tried to talk to him about business, he would either ignore me or explain my own industry back to me like I was a child. So you let him think you were just an employee. I let him think I was a mid-level manager at someone else's company. It was easier than fighting about it constantly. Zara looked out Andre's office window at the city below. I told myself I was protecting my business from his interference. But really, I was protecting myself from his dismissal. Andre leaned back in his chair. Zara, you've been hiding your own success from your husband for years. That's not healthy. Neither is having your husband cheat on you with a younger woman at your own hotels, Zara replied sharply. I tried to share my world with Nathan in the beginning. He made it clear he wasn't interested. She remembered the early years of their marriage, when she had excitedly told Nathan about her plans to expand into hospitality. He had patted her on the head like she was a child playing dress-up and suggested she focus on more realistic, career goals. When she bought her first hotel, she had invited Nathan to the opening celebration. He had spent the entire evening networking with other guests and introducing himself as an investment banker, never once mentioning that his wife owned the building they were standing in. That night, Zara had made the decision to keep her business life completely separate from Nathan. She created a corporate structure that protected her assets, used her maiden name for all business dealings, and built her empire in the shadows of her marriage. The prenup protects everything, right? She asked Andre. Absolutely. Everything you owned before the marriage and everything you've acquired through your business stays with you. Nathan has no claim to any of it. Andre pulled out a folder. You were smart to insist on that prenup, even though Nathan fought it. Zara remembered that fight. Nathan had claimed the prenup showed she didn't trust him, that she was planning for their marriage to fail before it even started. But Ruth's voice in her head had been stronger than Nathan's protests. Build something they can't take away from you. What about the townhouse? She asked. You bought it with your own money before you were married, then added Nathan to the deed as a gift. But the mortgage payments, property taxes, and renovations all came from your accounts. A good lawyer could argue Nathan's entitled to some equity, but you'd keep the majority. And Nathan thinks we split the cost 50-50. Because you let him make the mortgage payments while you paid for everything else behind the scenes, Andre said. Zara, you've been subsidizing Nathan's lifestyle for years without him knowing it. It was true. While Nathan thought he was contributing equally to their household expenses, Zara had been quietly covering the property taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance on their home. She had also paid for their vacations, their cars, and most of their social activities, all while letting Nathan believe he was an equal financial partner. Why did you do it? Andre asked gently. Zara considered the question. Because I loved him. And because it felt easier than dealing with his insecurity about money. Nathan had grown up middle class in a family that struggled financially. His parents had divorced when he was young, partly due to money problems. Zara had thought she was being kind by not making him feel inadequate about their financial differences. Instead, she had enabled him to live a lifestyle he couldn't afford while believing he was financially successful. He's going to be in for a shock when he finds out the truth, Andre said. If he finds out the truth. Andre looked at her carefully. What are you thinking? Zara stood up and walked to the window. Nathan uninvited me from his sister's wedding so he could bring his mistress. He's going to introduce her to his family at my hotel, probably as his girlfriend. You're not going to let him do that. I'm going to do more than that. Zara turned back to Andre. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who Rebecca Cole is and what Nathan Thompson really is. Andre was quiet for a moment. Zara, be careful. Revenge can backfire. This isn't revenge, Andre. This is consequences. Zara sat back down, her mind already working through the possibilities. Nathan thinks he can use my property to humiliate me. He thinks he can throw away 8 years of marriage for a woman he's known for 2 months. He thinks I'm going to disappear quietly and let him rewrite our history. And you're not. I'm not going anywhere. But when this is over, Nathan is going to understand exactly what he threw away. And he's going to know that actions have consequences. Andre smiled despite himself. Your grandmother would be proud. Zara thought about Ruth, who had spent her life cleaning other people's houses while building her own fortune in secret. Ruth had understood that sometimes you had to let people underestimate you until the moment came to show them who you really were. That moment was coming soon. 2 days before the wedding, Zara sat in her office watching the security monitors as Nathan's family arrived at the Grand Meridian for the rehearsal dinner. She had instructed her staff to treat the Harrison James wedding like any other high-profile event, with one exception. Everything was to be reported back to her. Monica knocked and entered with a tablet full of updates. Mrs. Thompson, the bride's family has arrived. Mrs. Harrison is asking to speak with the manager about changing the floral arrangements. What kind of changes? She wants to upgrade to the premium package. Says the current flowers aren't impressive enough for photos. Monica consulted her notes. The groom's family is asking about extending the bar service by 2 hours. Approved. Both requests. Zara smiled. Make sure they understand there will be additional charges for the upgrades. Of course. Should I handle the billing through the usual channels? Yes. Send all charges to the card on file. Zara knew Nathan had put the wedding expenses on his credit card, trying to impress his family with his generosity. He had no idea he was about to rack up an additional $5,000 in charges for last-minute upgrades. Monica hesitated. Ma'am, there's something else. Mr. Thompson arrived with a guest. Rebecca Cole? Yes, ma'am. He introduced her as a family friend, but... Monica trailed off, looking uncomfortable. But what? She's acting like more than a friend. And she's wearing an engagement ring. Zara's stomach dropped. An engagement ring? Yes, ma'am. Very large diamond. She's been showing it to other guests. Zara stared at Monica, trying to process this information. Nathan wasn't just having an affair, he was engaged to another woman, while still married to her. Thank you for letting me know. Please continue monitoring the situation and report anything unusual. After Monica left, Zara called Andre immediately. He's engaged to her, she said without preamble when Andre answered. What? Nathan is engaged to Rebecca Cole. She's wearing a ring and showing it off to wedding guests. Andre was quiet for a moment. Zara, that's bigamy. He can't legally marry someone else while he's still married to you. Unless he's planning to divorce me and hasn't told me yet. Zara felt nauseous. Andre, what if he's been planning this for months? What if the whole thing about me being uninvited was just the first step in pushing me out of his life? Even if that's true, he's going about it in the most cowardly way possible. Zara pulled up the live security feed from the hotel's main ballroom, where the rehearsal dinner was taking place. She could see Nathan at the head table, looking relaxed and happy. Rebecca sat beside him, her left hand prominently displayed as she gestured while talking to other guests. Sophie, the bride, was glowing as she talked to family members. She had no idea her brother was living a double life. Patricia Thompson, Nathan's mother, was holding court at her table, clearly enjoying being the mother of the groom's brother. None of them knew that the woman sitting next to Nathan was his secret fiancée, or that the wife they thought was too sick to attend was watching them from 40 floors above. Zara's phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Rehearsal going great. Sophie's so happy. Wish you could see her. The casual cruelty of the message hit her like a physical blow. Nathan was literally sitting next to his mistress while texting his wife about how sad it was that she couldn't be there. She typed back, "I'm glad Sophie's happy. That's what matters." Nathan responded immediately, "You're the best. Love you. Love you." Zara stared at the words, wondering if Nathan even remembered what they meant. She switched to a different camera angle and watched Rebecca lean over to whisper something in Nathan's ear. He laughed and kissed her cheek right there in front of his entire family. How long had Nathan been living this double life? How long had he been planning to replace her with Rebecca while pretending nothing had changed at home? Monica returned with another update. "Mrs. Thompson, the bride is asking about adding a champagne toast during the ceremony tomorrow. That's unusual. Most venues don't allow alcohol during the ceremony itself. She says it's a family tradition. Something about toasting new beginnings." New beginnings? Zara wondered if Sophie knew her brother was planning his own new beginning with a woman who wasn't his wife. "Approve the champagne toast," Zara said. "Make sure we have our best photographer capturing every moment." "Yes, ma'am." After Monica left, Zara made a decision. She called down to the front desk. "This is Mrs. Thompson. I need you to prepare the executive suite for my personal use tomorrow evening." "Of course, Mrs. Thompson. Will you be staying over?" "Yes. I have some business to attend to during the Harrison James wedding, and I'll need to be on site." As she hung up the phone, Zara realized she was no longer just planning to watch Nathan's betrayal from a distance. She was going to be there in person when the truth finally came out. Nathan wanted to bring his mistress to a family wedding and pretend his wife didn't exist? Fine. But he was going to do it under Zara's roof, by her rules, and with consequences he couldn't even imagine. Tomorrow would be a day of new beginnings indeed. Just not the kind Nathan was expecting. Zara met Andre at her home that evening to finalize their plan. She had spent hours thinking through every detail, determined to expose Nathan's lies without destroying Sophie's wedding completely. "The goal isn't to ruin Sophie's day," she explained as they sat in her living room with documents spread across the coffee table. "The goal is to make sure Nathan faces consequences for his actions." "And Rebecca?" Andre asked. "Rebecca is a grown woman who chose to have an affair with a married man. She doesn't get to walk away from this without consequences either." Andre reviewed the timeline they had created. "So you'll arrive at the hotel tomorrow afternoon, during the cocktail hour before the ceremony?" "Yes. I'll introduce myself to the family as the hotel owner conducting a routine VIP check. Nathan will panic, but he won't be able to say anything without exposing his lies." "And the reveal?" Zara picked up a leather portfolio from the table. "During the reception, when they do the traditional speeches, I'll present the family with a special wedding gift." Andre opened the portfolio, which contained printed photos from the security cameras showing Nathan and Rebecca at various Meridian hotels. There were also copies of hotel receipts, credit card records, and a timeline documenting their affair. "This is thorough," Andre said. "But Zara, once you do this, there's no going back. Your marriage will be over." "My marriage has been over for months. I just didn't know it yet." Zara felt surprisingly calm about the decision. "Andre, Nathan has been living a double life while making me feel like I was crazy for suspecting something was wrong. He uninvited me from a family event so he could bring his mistress. He's engaged to another woman while still married to me." "You're right. He's made his choice. Now he gets to live with the consequences." They spent the next hour going over every detail. Andre would be at the hotel as Zara's legal counsel, ready to serve Nathan with divorce papers if needed. Monica would coordinate with the hotel staff to ensure everything went smoothly. The hotel's photographer would document the evening for security purposes. "What about after?" Andre asked. "Where will you go?" "I'm keeping the house. Nathan can figure out his own living situation." Zara had already checked the deed. The property was in her name, purchased with her money before their marriage. "I'll change the locks tomorrow night." "And the business?" "The business stays exactly as it is. Nathan has no claim to any of it." Andre nodded approvingly. "You've protected yourself well. I learned from the best." Zara thought about her grandmother Ruth, who had faced much worse than a cheating husband and had still managed to build a legacy. Ruth always said that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Nathan's shown you who he is. Yes, he has. That night, Zara packed a bag for her stay at the hotel. She chose her outfit carefully, a sophisticated black dress that was appropriate for a wedding but also conveyed authority and elegance. She wanted to look like the successful businesswoman she was, not the abandoned wife Nathan expected her to be. She also wrote a letter to Sophie, explaining the situation and apologizing for the timing. Sophie deserved to know the truth, even if it came at the worst possible moment. As she prepared for bed, Nathan came home from his bachelor party celebration with James, the groom. "How was your evening?" Zara asked, keeping her voice neutral. "Good. Just drinks with James and a few of his friends." Nathan seemed relaxed, probably relieved that he had made it through another day without being caught. "I can't believe tomorrow's the big day. I'm sure it will be beautiful." "Yeah. Sophie's going to be so happy." Nathan paused. "I'm sorry again that you can't be there. I know how much you wanted to celebrate with the family." Zara looked at her husband, this man who could lie so easily while looking her directly in the eyes. "Don't worry about me, Nathan. I'll find a way to celebrate. Maybe we can do something special next weekend, just the two of us." "Maybe." Nathan kissed her goodnight, the same casual peck on the cheek he had given her every night for the past year. There was no passion, no real affection, just habit. As she lay in bed listening to Nathan fall asleep beside her, Zara thought about the moment tomorrow when he would realize his comfortable double life was about to collapse. He had counted on her being passive, on her accepting his lies and manipulation without fighting back. He had forgotten that successful people don't build empires by accepting defeat quietly. Tomorrow Nathan would remember exactly who he had married. And he would learn that underestimating Zara Thompson was the biggest mistake of his life. Zara arrived at the Grand Meridian at noon, 4 hours before the wedding ceremony. She used her private elevator to reach her executive suite, watching the hotel bustle with activity as vendors, florists, and wedding guests filled the building. Monica met her in the suite with a full briefing. "Mrs. Thompson, the bride's family arrived this morning for hair and makeup. They've taken over the entire spa level." "And the groom's family?" "They're in the restaurant having brunch. Mr. Thompson and his guest are at table 12. Zara pulled up the security feed on her tablet. Nathan was sitting across from Rebecca, both of them dressed casually and looking completely comfortable. Rebecca was still wearing her engagement ring, and Nathan was holding her hand across the table. "Have they interacted with the bride's family yet?" "Not directly. But Mrs. Harrison was asking about Mr. Thompson's wife earlier. She seemed confused about why you weren't here." "What did Nathan tell her?" "That you have the flu and didn't want to risk getting anyone else sick." Another lie. Zara added it to her mental list of Nathan's deceptions. "Monica, I need you to arrange a meeting with the mother of the bride in about an hour. Tell her the hotel owner would like to personally ensure everything is perfect for her daughter's wedding." "Of course, Mrs. Thompson." While Monica made arrangements, Zara changed into her black dress and checked her appearance in the mirror. She looked polished, professional, and completely in control. No one looking at her would see a betrayed wife, they would see a successful businesswoman who owned the building they were standing in. Andre arrived at 1 o'clock with the divorce papers and a briefcase full of documentation. "Are you ready for this?" "More than ready." They reviewed the plan one final time. Zara would introduce herself to the families during the cocktail hour, establishing her presence and authority. During the reception dinner, she would present her wedding gift, to reveal the truth about Nathan's affair. Andre would be standing by to handle any legal issues that arose. "Remember," Andre said, "once you start this, Nathan will probably try to turn the situation around on you. He'll claim you're being vindictive or crazy. Let him try. I have documentation of everything." At 2 o'clock, Zara met with Mrs. Harrison in the hotel's private dining room. Patricia Harrison was an elegant woman in her 60s who clearly took pride in her daughter's special day. "Mrs. Harrison, I'm Zara Thompson, the owner of the Grand Meridian. I wanted to personally ensure your daughter's wedding is everything she dreamed of." "Oh my goodness, how wonderful. Sophie will be so thrilled to meet you. She's been raving about this venue for months. I'm delighted to host such a special celebration. Your daughter has exquisite taste." They chatted for several minutes about the wedding details and the hotel's amenities. Mrs. Harrison was warm and gracious, making Zara feel even worse about what was going to happen later. "I do hope we'll have a chance to meet your son-in-law's family as well," Zara said carefully. "Oh, of course. Though I'm afraid Nathan's wife is ill and couldn't attend." Such a shame. Sophie was looking forward to getting to know her better. "How disappointing. I'm sure she would have loved to be here." Mrs. Harrison nodded. "Nathan seems lovely though. And his friend Rebecca is delightful. She's been so helpful with the wedding preparations." Zara's smile felt frozen on her face. How nice that he has such supportive friends. After Mrs. Harrison left to rejoin the bridal party, Zara sat alone in the dining room, processing what she had heard. Nathan had not only brought Rebecca to replace her at the wedding, he had actively involved her in the wedding preparations. Rebecca wasn't just his secret fiancée, she was already playing the role of his partner in front of his family. Monica returned with another update. Mrs. Thompson, the ceremony is starting to set up. The florists are finishing the arrangements, and the musicians are doing their sound check. And our photographer? In position and ready to document everything. Zara looked out the window at the city below. In a few hours, this hotel would be filled with celebrating families who had no idea they were about to witness the collapse of a marriage built on lies. She thought about calling Nathan and giving him one last chance to confess, to tell the truth before she exposed him publicly. But she remembered all the times she had tried to talk to him about their problems, all the times he had dismissed her concerns or made her feel like she was overreacting. Nathan had made his choice when he decided to have an affair. He had made his choice when he got engaged to another woman. He had made his choice when he uninvited his wife from a family event so he could parade his mistress in front of everyone. Now it was time for Zara to make her choice. And she chose consequences. At 4:30, Zara positioned herself in the hotel's main lobby, watching as wedding guests began arriving for the ceremony. She wore her hotel owner persona like armor, greeting VIP guests and ensuring everything ran smoothly. Nathan arrived at 5 o'clock with Rebecca on his arm. They both looked stunning, Nathan in a charcoal gray suit and Rebecca in a flowing blue dress that complemented her blonde hair. They walked through the lobby like a couple arriving at their own celebration. Zara watched from behind a marble pillar as Nathan introduced Rebecca to family members and friends. To anyone observing, they looked like a happy couple who belonged together. Mrs. Thompson, Monica appeared at her elbow. The bride's mother is asking if you'd like to meet the rest of the families before the ceremony begins. Perfect timing. Zara walked across the lobby toward the group of wedding guests, her heels clicking confidently on the marble floor. She could see Nathan out of the corner of her eye, but she focused on Mrs. Harrison, who was standing with Sophie and several other family members. Mrs. Harrison, your daughter looks absolutely radiant. Sophie beamed as she was introduced to Zara. The bride was genuinely beautiful, glowing with happiness and excitement. Her wedding dress was elegant and classic, and her joy was infectious. Thank you so much for hosting our wedding, Sophie said. This place is like a fairy tale. It's my pleasure. I love being part of such special celebrations. Mrs. Harrison gestured toward the other side of the lobby. Let me introduce you to the groom's family. Patricia. Come meet the hotel owner. Zara's heart pounded as Nathan's mother walked over, followed by several other family members. And then, inevitably, Nathan and Rebecca approached the group. Mrs. Thompson, this is Patricia Thompson, the groom's mother. How lovely to meet you, Zara said, shaking Patricia's hand warmly. And this is Nathan, Patricia's son, and his friend Rebecca. Zara turned to face her husband for the first time in 2 days. Nathan's face went completely white when he saw her. His mouth opened slightly but no words came out. Nathan, Zara said pleasantly, extending her hand as if meeting him for the first time. How wonderful that you could be here for your sister's special day. Nathan stared at her extended hand, clearly paralyzed. Rebecca looked between them, sensing tension but not understanding its source. Nathan. Patricia prompted. Don't be rude. Finally, Nathan reached out and shook Zara's hand. His palm was sweaty and his grip was weak. Nice to meet you, he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. And Rebecca, Zara turned to the other woman with a brilliant smile. What a beautiful ring. Congratulations on your engagement. Rebecca lit up, clearly delighted to have someone notice her jewelry. Thank you. It just happened, so we're still getting used to the idea. How exciting. When are you planning the wedding? We haven't set a date yet, but probably sometime next year. Zara nodded as if this was perfectly normal conversation. Well, I hope you'll consider the Grand Meridian for your celebration. We specialize in making dream weddings come true. Nathan looked like he was going to be sick. He kept opening his mouth as if to say something, then closing it again. We should probably head into the ceremony, he finally said. Don't want to be late. Of course, Zara agreed. I hope you all enjoy the evening. I'll be around if you need anything. As the group moved toward the ballroom, Zara watched Nathan lean over to whisper urgently in Rebecca's ear. Rebecca looked confused and kept glancing back at Zara. The ceremony itself was beautiful. Sophie and James exchanged vows in front of an altar decorated with white roses and baby's breath. The late afternoon sun streamed through the ballroom's massive windows, creating a romantic atmosphere that would have been perfect if not for the undercurrent of tension Zara could feel radiating from Nathan's section of the seating. During the champagne toast, Zara watched Nathan fumble with his glass while Rebecca beamed beside him. Nathan kept looking around the room as if expecting something terrible to happen at any moment, which Zara thought was actually quite perceptive of him. When the ceremony concluded and guests began moving to the cocktail reception, Zara retreated to her suite to prepare for the evening's main event. Andre was waiting for her with the leather portfolio containing all their evidence. "How did the introduction go?" he asked. "Better than I hoped. Nathan is terrified, but he can't say anything without exposing himself. And Rebecca? Has no idea who I am. She's completely oblivious to the fact that she just met the wife of her engaged fiancé." Andre shook his head. "This is going to be a disaster for both of them." "Good," Zara said, checking her appearance in the mirror one final time. "They earned it." As the sun set over Chicago, casting golden light across the hotel ballroom, Zara prepared to deliver the consequences Nathan and Rebecca had been earning for months. The wedding reception was about to become unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. The reception was in full swing by 7 o'clock. Zara watched from the mezzanine level as guests enjoyed cocktails and appetizers while a jazz trio provided elegant background music. The ballroom looked spectacular, with crystal chandeliers casting warm light over tables draped in ivory linens and decorated with elaborate floral centerpieces. Nathan and Rebecca were at the head table with the immediate family members, Rebecca chatting animatedly with Sophie while Nathan sat quietly, barely touching his food. Every few minutes, he would scan the room as if looking for an escape route. At 8 o'clock, the formal dinner service began. Zara made her way down to the ballroom, nodding to her staff as she moved through the room. She stopped at several tables to greet guests, playing the role of the gracious hotel owner, ensuring everyone was having a wonderful time. "Excuse me," she said to the bandleader during a break between songs. "I'd like to make a brief presentation during the speech portion of the evening if that's possible." "Of course, Mrs. Thompson. When would you like to speak?" "After the maid of honor and best man, but before the father of the bride." As dinner concluded and the speeches began, Zara positioned herself near the back of the room with Andre beside her. The maid of honor gave a touching toast about friendship and love, followed by the best man's humorous stories about James's bachelor days. Then the bandleader announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special presentation from Mrs. Zara Thompson, owner of the Grand Meridian Hotel." Zara walked to the microphone, carrying her leather portfolio. The room fell silent as all eyes focused on her. She could see Nathan gripping his chair arms so tightly his knuckles were white. "Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this beautiful celebration. There's nothing I love more than hosting families as they come together to celebrate love and commitment." The audience smiled and nodded, clearly charmed by her gracious words. "As a wedding gift to Sophie and James and to both families, I'd like to share something very special with you tonight." Zara opened her portfolio and pulled out several manila envelopes. "These are personalized photo albums documenting some very important moments in your family's recent history." She handed the first envelope to Mrs. Harrison, who opened it with a confused smile. As Mrs. Harrison looked at the contents, her expression changed from confusion to shock to horror. "I'm sorry," Mrs. Harrison said, her voice shaking. "I don't understand what these are." "Those are security photos from various Meridian Hotel properties over the past 2 months, Zara explained calmly. "They document multiple visits by Nathan Thompson and Rebecca Cole to our hotels." The room erupted in confused murmurs as Zara handed similar envelopes to Patricia Thompson and several other family members. Nathan jumped to his feet, his face flushed red. "Zara, what are you doing?" he demanded. "I'm sorry," Rebecca said, looking completely lost. "Who is Zara?" Nathan closed his eyes in defeat as the truth finally came crashing down around him. "Rebecca," Zara said gently, "I'm Zara Thompson, Nathan's wife." The silence that followed was deafening. Rebecca stared at Nathan with her mouth open, while guests at nearby tables began whispering urgently to each other. "Wife." Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. "For 8 years, Zara confirmed. Though apparently Nathan has been planning to change that status without informing me." Sophie stood up slowly, looking back and forth between her brother and Zara. "Nathan, what is she talking about?" Nathan seemed frozen, unable to form words. Patricia Thompson was staring at the photos in her envelope, her face pale with shock. Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Harrison said, her voice trembling with anger, are you saying that Nathan brought his mistress to my daughter's wedding? I'm saying that Nathan uninvited his wife from his sister's wedding so he could bring his affair partner instead, Zara replied. The same affair partner he's apparently engaged to, despite still being married to me. Rebecca suddenly stood up, tears streaming down her face. Nathan, you told me you were divorced. I can explain, Nathan said desperately, but his voice was weak and unconvincing. You told me your ex-wife was bitter and wouldn't sign the papers. Rebecca's voice was rising. You said she was trying to take half your money? Several guests gasped at this revelation. Andre stepped forward from the back of the room. For the record, Andre announced, Mrs. Thompson owns this hotel and 11 others. She has never asked Nathan for money because she has considerably more than he does. Patricia Thompson finally found her voice. Nathan, please tell me this isn't true. Nathan looked around the room at all the shocked faces, his family, his sister's new-in-laws, Rebecca's tear-stained face, and seemed to realize there was no way to lie his way out of this situation. I can explain everything, he said weakly. No, Sophie said, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. You can't explain this, Nathan. You brought your mistress to my wedding. You lied to your wife, you lied to Rebecca, and you lied to all of us. Rebecca was sobbing now, the reality of her situation finally sinking in. I helped plan this wedding. I talked to your mother about flowers. I thought I was going to be part of this family. Rebecca, please. Nathan reached for her, but she jerked away from him. Don't touch me. You're married. You've been married this whole time. She pulled off her engagement ring and threw it at Nathan, hitting him in the chest before it clattered to the floor. Zara watched the scene unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. She felt vindicated, but she also felt sorry for Rebecca, who was clearly as much a victim of Nathan's lies as she was. Sophie, Zara said softly, I'm truly sorry for the timing of this. You deserve to know the truth, but I wish it could have waited until after your special day. Sophie walked over to Zara, her wedding dress rustling as she moved. For a moment, Zara thought the bride might slap her. Instead, Sophie pulled her into a hug. Thank you for telling us, Sophie whispered. I'm sorry my brother is such a coward. As chaos erupted around the ballroom, with family members arguing and guests whispering urgently to each other, Andre stepped forward and handed Nathan a manila envelope. Divorce papers, Andre announced. Mrs. Thompson will be filing first thing Monday morning. Nathan stared at the envelope as if it contained a bomb. Zara, please, can we talk about this privately? We're past that point, Nathan. Zara's voice was calm and steady. You made your choice when you started this affair. You made your choice when you got engaged to another woman. You made your choice when you uninvited me from this wedding. I made a mistake. No, Nathan. You made a series of calculated decisions over several months. This wasn't a mistake, it was a plan. As hotel security began discreetly escorting Rebecca from the ballroom and family members continued arguing among themselves, Zara realized her part in this drama was finished. She had exposed the truth. She had protected herself legally. And she had ensured that Nathan would face consequences for his betrayal. Now it was time to start building her new life. The next morning, Zara sat in her hotel suite reading the news coverage of the wedding disaster. Someone had recorded parts of the confrontation on their phone, and the video was already going viral on social media with hashtags like #weddingdrama and #cheatinghusband. Hotel heiress exposes cheating husband at sister-in-law's wedding, read the headline in the Chicago Tribune's gossip section. The article was surprisingly sympathetic to Zara, portraying her as a successful businesswoman who had been betrayed by a gold-digging husband. Andre knocked and entered with coffee and a stack of legal documents. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Zara accepted the coffee gratefully. What's the damage assessment? Nathan's been calling my office every hour since 6 this morning, begging for a chance to talk to you. Rebecca Cole apparently went to the police to file some kind of complaint about fraud, but they told her it's a civil matter. And the family? Sophie called this morning to apologize again. She wants to have lunch with you next week. Apparently she never liked Nathan much anyway. Andre sat down across from Zara. Patricia Thompson, on the other hand, has been defending Nathan to anyone who will listen. Of course she has. She's claiming you deliberately sabotaged the wedding out of jealousy. Zara laughed, but there was no humor in it. I sabotaged my own marriage by exposing my husband's affair? That's an interesting interpretation. The video footage doesn't support her narrative. You were calm, factual, and professional throughout the entire confrontation. Andre was right. Watching the cell phone video, Zara could see that she had handled the situation with remarkable composure. She had presented facts, not emotions. She had been direct but not cruel. Even her comments to Rebecca had been gentle, considering the circumstances. What about the hotel? Any fallout from the publicity? Actually, the opposite. We've received 6 new wedding bookings since yesterday. Apparently, the way you handled the situation has impressed people. They see you as someone who runs a classy operation and doesn't tolerate nonsense. Zara's phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Please call me. We need to talk about our future. She showed the message to Andre. What future does he think we have? He's probably going to claim it was temporary insanity, that Rebecca manipulated him, that he wants to work things out. Well, he can claim whatever he wants to his lawyer. Monica knocked and entered with another update. Mrs. Thompson, there's a reporter from Channel 7 downstairs asking for an interview. And Nathan Thompson is in the lobby demanding to see you. Tell the reporter I'm not available for comment. And tell security to escort Nathan from the building. He says he's not leaving until he talks to you. Zara looked at Andre, who nodded. I'll handle it, he said. This is why you pay me. While Andre went downstairs to deal with Nathan, Zara began making arrangements to return home. She needed to change the locks, remove Nathan's belongings, and start the process of disentangling their shared life. Her phone rang with a call from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Zara? It's Rebecca. Zara was surprised. Rebecca. How are you? Terrible. Rebecca's voice was hoarse from crying. I wanted to call and apologize. I had no idea Nathan was married. He told me he was divorced, that you were his ex-wife who was being difficult about the settlement. I believe you. He showed me fake divorce papers. He had stories about your custody battles over assets. He made you sound like a vindictive ex who was trying to ruin his life. Zara sat down heavily. Nathan had been more calculating than she had realized. Rebecca, I'm sorry you got caught up in this. I'm sorry I helped him hurt you. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid. Nathan is very good at lying. He had me fooled for months about what was happening in our marriage. There was a long pause. Zara, can I ask you something? Of course. Were you really planning to divorce him before all this happened? Zara considered the question. No. I was trying to save our marriage. I thought if I could just figure out what was wrong, I could fix it. So he destroyed your marriage for nothing. He destroyed our marriage because he wanted something else more than he wanted to be married to me. That's not nothing, that's a choice. After hanging up with Rebecca, Zara felt an unexpected sense of closure. Rebecca hadn't been a villain deliberately trying to steal someone's husband. She had been another victim of Nathan's lies, manipulated into believing she was starting a relationship with a single man. Andre returned an hour later with a report on his conversation with Nathan. He wants to reconcile, Andre said. He claims Rebecca seduced him during a weak moment in your marriage, that he never intended for things to go as far as they did. And the engagement ring? He says Rebecca pressured him into it, that he was planning to call it off and confess everything to you. Zara shook her head. Even now he's still lying. The security footage shows him being affectionate and romantic with her for weeks. I told him the divorce proceedings will continue as planned. He has 30 days to respond to the filing. What did he say? He said he's going to fight for you, that he's not giving up on your marriage. Zara looked out the window at the city below, feeling a strange mixture of sadness and relief. 8 years of marriage were ending, but they had probably been over long before she found out about the affair. Andre, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think I handled this the wrong way? Should I have confronted Nathan privately first? Andre was quiet for a moment. Zara, Nathan had months to confess. He had opportunities to tell the truth every single day. Instead, he chose to lie to you, lie to Rebecca, and lie to his family. He uninvited you from a wedding so he could parade his mistress in front of everyone. What exactly did he think was going to happen? He thought I would disappear quietly. And instead, you reminded him that actions have consequences. As Zara packed her things to leave the hotel, she realized that for the first time in years she felt like herself again. Not Nathan's wife, not the woman who had to hide her success to protect someone else's ego, but Zara Thompson, successful businesswoman, hotel owner, and someone who refused to be erased from her own life. Nathan had tried to write her out of his story. Instead, he had given her the chance to start writing a new story of her own. Zara stood on the balcony of her new penthouse apartment, looking out over Lake Michigan as the sun set behind her. The apartment was everything the Lincoln Park townhouse hadn't been: modern, sophisticated, and entirely hers. No shared memories, no reminders of Nathan, just clean lines and beautiful views that reflected the life she was building. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks ago. Nathan had initially tried to fight it, claiming irreconcilable differences weren't grounds for divorce in Illinois. Andre had responded by filing additional paperwork documenting adultery, desertion, and extreme mental cruelty. Nathan's lawyer had advised him to settle quickly and quietly. In the end, Nathan had walked away with exactly what he had brought to the marriage: his clothes, his car, and his personal belongings. Everything else, the house, the investments, the business empire he had never known about, stayed with Zara. The Meridian Hotel Group was thriving. The publicity from the wedding disaster had actually been good for business, with several magazines featuring articles about Zara's success as a female entrepreneur. She had been invited to speak at business conferences and had appeared on 2 morning shows discussing women in hospitality management. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sophie: "Lunch tomorrow still on? Can't wait to see the new place." Zara smiled as she typed back, "Absolutely. Can't wait to catch up." Sophie had become an unexpected friend through the aftermath of the wedding. It turned out Nathan's sister had never particularly liked her brother's treatment of women and had suspected something was wrong with his marriage for years. Sophie and her new husband James had even booked their honeymoon at the Meridian Resort in Lake Geneva, specifically to support Zara's business. The doorbell rang, interrupting her thoughts. Zara checked the security monitor and smiled when she saw Andre standing in the hallway with takeout bags and a bottle of wine. "I thought you might want company for dinner," he said when she opened the door. "Perfect timing. I was just admiring the view." They set up dinner on the balcony, enjoying Thai food and wine as the city lights began twinkling below them. Andre had been her rock through the divorce proceedings, handling all the legal complications while also being a supportive friend. "Any word from Nathan lately?" Andre asked. "His lawyer sent mine a letter last week asking if I'd be willing to provide a character reference for him." Zara laughed. "Apparently he's having trouble finding a new job, and prospective employers keep finding the news articles about the wedding. Are you going to help him?" I referred his lawyer to Rebecca. They can provide character references for each other. Andre nearly choked on his wine. "You didn't." "I did. They deserve each other." It was true. Nathan and Rebecca had gotten back together 2 months after the wedding disaster, apparently bonding over their shared victim status. They had moved to Milwaukee, where Nathan had found a job at a smaller investment firm and Rebecca was working as a freelance marketing consultant. According to Sophie, they were planning to get married as soon as Nathan's divorce was final. "Speaking of relationships," Andre said carefully, "how are things going with you and Dr. Williams?" Zara smiled, thinking about Marcus Williams, the cardiologist she had met at a medical conference where she had been speaking about hospitality management in healthcare settings. He was intelligent, kind, and refreshingly honest about his interest in getting to know her better. Good. Really good, actually. She had been surprised by how easy it was to trust someone new, to believe that a man could be genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. "He's taking me to dinner Friday night. I'm happy for you, Zara. You deserve someone who appreciates what an amazing woman you are." As the evening progressed and they finished the wine, Zara reflected on how much her life had changed since that terrible text message 6 months ago. She had lost a marriage, but she had gained so much more: her self-respect, her independence, and the realization that she was stronger than she had ever imagined. "Andre, can I tell you something?" "Always. I'm grateful it happened." Andre looked surprised. "The affair?" "All of it. The affair, the lies, the humiliation at the wedding. If Nathan hadn't uninvited me, I might have spent years trying to save a marriage that was already dead. I might have kept hiding who I really was to protect his ego. And now everyone knows exactly who I am. And I'm not hiding anymore." As Andre left that evening, Zara stood alone on her balcony looking out at the city she had conquered through hard work and determination. Her grandmother Ruth would have been proud to see her standing tall, successful, and unafraid. Nathan had tried to make her disappear, to erase her from his story so he could start fresh with someone new. Instead, he had given her the push she needed to step fully into her own power. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Looking forward to Friday. Sweet dreams, beautiful." Zara smiled as she typed back, "Me too. Good night." As she prepared for bed in her beautiful new home, surrounded by the success she had built with her own hands, Zara realized that Nathan had been right about one thing: the wedding had been a new beginning. Just not for the people he had expected.